So this is our group presentation on the 1930s. So some key directors in the 1930s were Victor Fleming. He was one of the few directors that began the era of color to film, and while producing, he also participated in cinematography. He directed the movie that began Technicolor, which is The Wizard of Oz, in the 1937. The other director is Frank Capra. He experimented with war documentaries and made them seem like feature films. He served in the U.S. Army Corps to fight in World War II, which influenced him to produce propaganda films. Fritz Lang, he created a cohesive body of work that developed the elements later associated with film noir. Uh, During World War I, he fought along the Austrian army, causing him to lose his eye and wearing an eye patch, as you can see in the second photo. So the last one is Sam Wood. He was born on July 10th, 1883, and he died on September 22nd, 1949. And Wood was able to switch between multiple genres within filmmaking.
Significant movements. The drive-in theater was a very significant movement in filmmaking. The first drive-in theater was built on June 6, 1933, and it brought an uprising popularity of viewers for films and productions. The boom for talkies started in the 1930s, and it allowed for films with dialogue without the need of voice equipment. Genres that were popular in the 1930s were musicals, gangster films, westerns, comedies, melodramas, and horror movies. Hollywood reached its peak of popularity in the film industry and became an expected studio for high-quality films.
Important movies, inventions, techniques. The Wizard of Oz was directed by Victor Fleming and created in 1939, and it was the first movie to ever use color in film, which inspired more movies to use color in their film. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This was the first film to ever use a multiplane camera, and the multiplane camera is a camera that captures different layers of art to create a stop-motion picture. Basically, it's animation. A drive-in theater was a big theater that's outdoors and brought many people to drive in the outdoor theater and watch on a big screen through their car. This was built on June 6, 1933 and was located in Pennsauken, New Jersey. The Ensign Midget was invented by Houghton Butcher, and it was a very small camera that had a bigger lens of 35 millimeters by 45 millimeters. Having a small camera created more efficiency because of its tracking. Historical events that impacted filmmaking. The Great Depression. The Great Depression was an event that happened in the 1930s that caused a huge stock market crash. Many people were poor because of this. How this relates to film is that the Great Depression allowed U.S. citizens to watch more films, and it would help them drift away from the idea of the stock market crash. The Dust Bowl was an event that happened in Kansas where a huge tornado rushed through Kansas and tore down houses and buildings apart. In the beginning of Wizard of Oz, it shows Dorothy and her family living poor, and then suddenly a tornado rips their house apart. This was reference to the Dust Bowl that occurred in 1939. The Hindenburg Crash. The Hindenburg Crash occurred in 1937 and it killed 35 out of 61 citizens. This led to a film in 1975 that was directed by Robert Wise.
This Wizard of Oz clip demonstrates the first use of color in all of film history. The switch from black and white to color when she opens the door is a reference to the switch from black and white to color in the film industry. The movie's opening scene is first in black and white to emphasize the impact of the change to Technicolor when she opens the door.